everybody, thanks for joining us and welcome to Money Chat, where we talk all things money, the economy, housing, mortgages, crypto, and so much more. If it relates to your wallet and your financial well-being, you can bet we'll cover it here right on Money Chat. I'm Trina Robinson, your host. The crypto markets are pushing higher with Bitcoin rotating between weeks of all-time highs followed by slight pullbacks. Bryce Paul of the podcast Crypto 101 gave me a primer on what to expect from Bitcoin and altcoins as we enter the so-called crypto summer. It's a time when digital assets typically experience a moonshot. Let's start with, what do you see as the state of the cryptocurrency economy?
I think crypto in and of itself is many different things to many different people. If you think about it, I mean, crypto is much like the internet. It's just as shapeless and formless and new and innovative, and it's kind of laying the groundwork for many different kinds of new applications to be built on top of it. And so, where's the crypto economy right now? It's being formed. And really what that looks like, even, as crypto means many different things to many different people, it means different things to different economies. Remember, it's global, it's everywhere. Crypto economy to somebody in a developing world who doesn't have traditional access to credit, it's access to credit for them. Somebody in another kind of country who might feel oppressed from their government and sort of, monetary inflation, if you will, it might be a savings vehicle for them. For a commercial player in the States, it might mean DLT or blockchain technology and in a way to completely re-architect their back end and have extreme cost savings. And so the crypto economy also, on the other hand, is still trying to learn what it is. And in the same way that the internet is host to financial applications and media applications, commercial and personal applications, and so much, crypto's the same way. And you could even see the government trying to figure this out, right? The SEC wants to call it securities. The IRS wants to call it property. CFTC wants to call it commodities. FinCEN, FINRA wants to call it money. And it's all of those things, but not all at once, right? And so you could see, there's congressional hearings right now trying to figure out, can we use certain frameworks and apply them on rules that were, made in the 40s and the 30s, or do we need a new framework? Because some cryptos are securities, some cryptos are just money, some cryptos are commodities, or there's all sorts of different classifications, and so some of them are even collectibles and property. And so the crypto economy is new, it's emerging.
Let's talk about Bitcoin, since it continues to be the big dog on the block. Since the post-halving, it's gone, a little crazy, up, down, all around. What do you make of what's happening with Bitcoin right now? And where do you anticipate it will go, say, next year or even 5 years from now?
Where do I think we're going to be, like you asked, maybe 12 months from now and post-halving? For those who are listening who don't know what the halving is, might not have heard it, it's when the supply, the eventual future supply of Bitcoin kind of gets cut in half. The inflation rate gets cut in half. And this is great. It's what kind of gives us our dependability of how many Bitcoin are going to be in existence ever, and at what rate those are going to be kind of leaked into the economy, if you will. Whereas with fiat currencies, they could print more at will. Anyhow, the halving is a really key linchpin in Bitcoin, and it happens once every 4 years. And so it happened in 2012. The calendar year after 2012, 2013, Bitcoin went on a huge tear. It went up, thousands and thousands of percent. Again, fast forward to 2016. 2016, Bitcoin had a halving. Okay, the calendar year after 2016, 2017, it was historic, right? It birthed the ICO bubble and all these crazy new innovations. Fast forward to 2020, May 2020, we had the third halving. Look at the calendar year after 2020, that was 2021. Bitcoin had a historic run. It went up, 250 or 300%. I mean, it was a really great year. And what do we have today? 2024. 2024, we just had our fourth halving. So let's take a look at the calendar year after 2025. This is when most sort of people that I really respect and I really look to that have been around the market since the very beginning, that have created a lot of these companies. 2025, is probably going to be another great post-halving year. And so, again, we're not in 2025 yet. Midterm, I think there's going to be some chop. But one thing that you'll notice is that each sort of halving year was an election year. So that's not really a coincidence. Election years tend to be pretty good. That year after an election, America gets a fresh start. Everybody's feeling optimistic and positive. Stocks tend to rally. So, and the liquidity cycle kind of resets in a sense. So lots of different things come to bear. I think right now where we're at with Bitcoin particularly, we're clearly in a correction. The momentum has been reset. A lot of those leveraged speculators that I referenced earlier, they got wiped out, right? I mean, anybody who was long, when you have a sharp correction, 25%, if you're 4x long, you're wiped out. Your entire collateral is taken out. So we had a 25% correction in Bitcoin. So it wiped out a lot of the long-term or the short-term speculators, and it's a transference to those long-term holders. The guys who think, wow, well, Bitcoin's now trading back towards its 200-day moving average. This is a place where I could kind of feel like I could get back in at good value. So markets oscillate between, periods of over exuberance and hype and greed, and then back down to the downside of fear and pessimism and all that stuff. And you really want to try and train yourself to be a buyer during these periods. I try and tell everybody, when it's really scary and you feel like, oh my gosh, maybe I should sell and the prices are dipping, there tends to be a gut level response that everybody around the world is having. And if everybody around the world is having that same feeling and acting on it, well, value's scarce. And that is not scarce. That's a shared feeling. So you want to be the scarce sort of idea in a world of sort of shared ideas. And so everybody's feared and scared and all that kind of stuff. You should be greedy and buying, right? Because nobody else is. And so that's really how markets work. And so anyhow, that's kind of where I think about, again, if I were to summarize it, kind of short-term chop, although summers of election years tend to be historically very strong. So write that one down as well, because that could be another feather in the cap for stocks and crypto and all that stuff. Since stocks and tech stocks are typically highly correlated to crypto, but we've got some chop. We've got a little bit of legwork ahead of us to get back above that all-time high, to hold and then to rally. And once that happens, once Bitcoin breaks above its all-time high, holds and continues, then that's when you see the alt season, that crazy sort of period, the altcoin season where everything's flying, and it's a momentary period in time. So you don't want to, fall in love during that honeymoon time, but you really probably want to be positioned now in order to take profits during that time, if that makes sense.
Okay, we're going to come back to altcoins, but since you touched on the election, I know, for example, John Deaton, who's a big attorney in crypto, he's like in on the Coinbase action. He was in on the XRP action on behalf of token holders. How is crypto going to play in this election as far as maybe, candidates or even a president?
Oh, man, I'm so glad you asked, Trina. It's extremely important. It's top of mind. In fact, DCG, Digital Currency Group, they ran a study just recently. I think it was maybe a week or two ago. Don't quote me on it. Very recent study. 20% of Americans in swing states have stated in this survey that crypto is a key consideration for them during this election cycle. And so there are tens of millions of Americans. I might even be diminishing that. It could even be as high as 100 million. I don't exactly know, but I'll say, to be safe, since we're on TV, tens of millions of Americans hold crypto. And so you can't just outright ban it. You can't just outright say it's excommunicated. We're not going to have anything to do with it. You're going to have some very serious pushback, and we're seeing lots of back and forth. So, I mean, I'm really thankful, I guess, that all of this discourse is happening, because we've had a lack of regulatory clarity for a long time.
Bryce, it's been great talking to you. Well, money doesn't guarantee happiness, but it does provide tranquility and financial security. Learn to use it wisely. We'll see you next time right here on Money Chat.